Hello, Sarah of SEK Handmade here, and today I'm going to share with you how to use a very handy little tool, the Norwegian Thimble, to help you fly when you work that crochet color work. Let's go! For this tutorial, I'm going to go ahead and use 2 colors of a bulky weight yarn. This is just practice, so you can use whatever weight yarn you're comfortable with. Generally speaking, for working color work, you tend to want to go up a size or 2 from the hook size you would normally use, just because the center single crochet tends to be a little bit of a tight stitch, especially if you are a tight stitcher. While I might normally go up even a little bit higher, I'm going to go ahead and use a K 10.5 6.5 millimeter hook for this. To get set up for this tutorial, I've created a little swatch of waistcoat stitch. I'll go ahead and drop the tutorial in here so that if you need a reminder of how to do that, or if you've never done it before, you can head over there real quick and then bounce back over here. This fun little contraption here is called a Norwegian Thimble. It's a pretty ingenious and simple little contraption that will help you work your color work so much faster. Once you get the hang of this, you will never go back. It is simply a ring that fits around your finger that has 2 loops to help hold your yarn so that you can keep 2 colors of yarn going at the same time without dropping them and retensioning them every time you switch colors. They come in different sizes, and you're going to want to get one that sits kind of at the top of your pointer finger on the hand that you tension, because that's where you're going to want the yarn to slide through. So I have my little swatch here. I'm going to show you how to load your colors onto the thimble, how I tension my yarn, and how to switch back and forth between colors. This is a matter of personal preference, but when I set my projects down between crocheting sessions, I take my Norwegian Thimble off of my yarn. I find that when I set it down and walk away for a longer period of time, or especially if I'm going to pick my project up in its basket or whatever and carry it around, this tends to get all tangled up. So personal preference, but to me it's just easier to take it out and reset yourself up when you're ready to go again. I would recommend putting a stitch marker on this loop here so that you don't accidentally pull out work you've already done as you're loading the yarn onto your thimble. All right, to load my yarn on, I'm going to go ahead and put the thimble on my finger. I find that's easiest. Personally, I have found that it doesn't really matter what color is on what loop, so just pick a color, line your balls of yarn up appropriately so that they match the sides and you aren't twisting them around each other, and dive right in. You want your working yarn to come from your project through the loop on your Norwegian Thimble and down behind to be tensioned. So to do that with my first color, I'm going to make a little loop. I'm going to put this one on the one that's closest to my hand, and I'm going to do that by sliding it from right to left. This is a little more challenging with the thicker yarn, but that's okay. And then I'm just going to let it hang out there for a second while I load my other color of yarn. For this one, I'm going to hold the yarn straight across and just pull it down and then wrap it around. And now you can see I have both of my yarns going from my project through the loop and behind. I tension my yarn differently when I use the Norwegian Thimble. I have found that this method is A, super simple, and B, really helps me hold both yarns with about the right amount of tension. I take them and I put them between my middle finger and my ring finger. It's in front of my middle finger, behind my ring finger, and then I just swap back the other direction and put it between my ring finger and my pinky finger, putting it still behind my ring finger and in front of my pinky finger. Then I just grab my project like I normally would, and I'm ready to go. So now you can see that this holds each strand of yarn in a different place. For the Norwegian Thimble, you're going to float your yarn behind, so you don't need to worry about trapping it underneath the stitches here. It's really just not possible, I found, and floating behind gives a really nice smooth color transition anyways. When I'm ready to change colors, I'm going to start my stitch with my gray. Then instead of grabbing my gray, I'm just going to reach around, grab my gold yarn, pull through my stitch, and then work my stitches in the gold yarn. Now, this takes some practice
as you're getting started to reach for the correct yarn, I recommend going slowly. And as you gain confidence, you'll be able to move a lot quicker. Now I'm going to switch to my gray yarn, so I'm just going to grab in front and work some stitches in gray. Does it happen that sometimes I still accidentally grab both colors at once? It sure does. That's okay, no big deal. And then you go to switch yarns, and you can see it just nicely keeps both of them tensioned as I move across and makes changing colors super smooth and fast, not having to drop the yarn and retension every time you want to use it.
You guys, this is by far one of my most favorite tools I have found in quite a while. Take it slow to start off with, and once you get that muscle memory going, you're going to find that Crochet Colorwork will speed up immensely for you. I would love it if you would like this video, subscribe, turn on notifications, tell me in the comments what Crochet Colorwork pattern you're working on right now. And be sure to check out all of my other Crochet Colorwork tutorials to help you have the best, most professional looking crochet colorwork. Thank you so much for joining me today, and happy crafting!